That night the dwarves slept little. The morning was still pale when they saw a company approaching. From behind their wall they watched them come up to the valley's head and climb slowly up. Before long they could see that both men of the lake, armored as if for war, and elvish bowmen were among them. At length the foremost of these climbed the tumbled rocks and appeared at the top of the falls, and very great was their surprise to see the pool before them, and the gate blocked with a wall of new-hewn stone. As they stood pointing and speaking to one another, Thorin hailed them. "Who are you?" he called in a very loud voice. "That come as if in war to the gates of Thorin, son of Thorin, king under the mountain. And what do you desire?" But they answered nothing. Some turned swiftly back, and others, after gazing for a while at the gate and its defenses, soon followed them. That day the camp was moved and was brought right between the arms of the mountain. The rocks echoed with the voices and with song, as they had not done for many a day. There was the sound, too, of elven harps and a sweet music, and as it echoed upward toward them, it seemed that the chill of the air was warm, and they caught faintly the fragrance of woodland flowers blossoming in spring. Then Bilbo longed to escape from the dark fortress, and to go down and join in the mirth and the feasting by the fires. Some of the younger dwarves were moved in their hearts, too, and they muttered that they wished things had fallen out otherwise, and that they might welcome such folk as friends, but Thorin scowled. Then the dwarves themselves brought forth harps and instruments regained from the hoard, and made music to soften his mood. But their song was not his elvish song, and was much like the song they had sung long before in Bilbo's little hobbit hole. Under the mountain dark and tall, the king has come into his hall. His foe is dead, the worm of dread, and ever so his foe shall fall. The sword is sharp, the spear is long, the arrow swift, the gait is strong. The heart is bold that looks on gold, the dwarves no more shall suffer wrong. The dwarves of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells, in places deep where dark things sleep, in hollow halls beneath the fells. On silver necklaces they strung, the lights of stars on crowns they hung, the dragon fire from twisted wire, the melody of harps they rung. The mountain throne once more is freed, O wandering folk, the summons heed. Come haste, across the waste, the king of friend and kin has need. Now call we over mountains cold, come back unto caverns old. Here at the gates the king awaits, his hands are rich with gems and gold. The king is come unto his hall, under the mountain dark and tall. The worm of dread is slain and dead, and ever so our foes shall fall. This song appeared to please Thorin, and he smiled again and grew merry, and he began reckoning the distance to the Iron Hills and how long it would be before Dain could reach the lonely mountain, if he had set out as soon as the message reached him. But Bilbo's heart fell, both at the song and the talk. They sounded much too warlike. The next morning, early, a company of spearmen was seen crossing a river and marching up the valley. They bore with them the green banner of the Elven King and the blue banner of the lake, and they advanced until they stood right before the wall at the gate. Again Thorin hailed them in a loud voice. "Who are ye that come armed for war to the gates of Thorin, son of Thrain, king under the mountain?" This time he was answered. A tall man stood forward, dark of hair and grim of face, and he cried, "Hail, Thorin! Why do you fence yourself like a robber in this hold? We are not yet foes, and we rejoice that you are alive beyond our hope. We came expecting to find none living here, yet now that we met there is matter for parley and a council." "Who are you, and what of you would you parley?" "I am Bard, and by my hand was the dragon slain and your treasure delivered. Is that not a matter that concerns you? Moreover, I am by right descendant of the heir of Girion of Dale, and in your hoard is mingled much of the wealth of his halls and town, which of old Smaug stole. Is not that a matter of which we may speak? Further, in his last battle, Smaug destroyed the dwellings of the men of Esgaroth, and I am yet the servant of their master. I would speak for him and ask whether you have no thought for the sorrow and misery of his people. They aided you in your distress, and in recompense you have thus brought only ruin, though doubtless undesigned. Now these words were fair words and true, if proudly and grimly spoken, and Bilbo thought that Thorin would at once admit what justice was in them. He did not, of course, expect that anyone would remember that it was he who discovered all by himself the dragon's weak spot, and that was just as well, for no one ever did. But also he did not reckon with the power that gold has upon which a dragon has long brooded, nor with dwarvish hearts. Long hours in the past days Thorin had spent in the treasury, and the lust of it was heavy on him. Though he had hunted chiefly for the Arkenstone, yet he had an eye for many other wonderful things that were lying there, about which were wound old memories of the labors and the sorrows of his race. "You put your worst cause last, and in the chief place," Thorin answered. "To the treasure of my people no man has a claim, because Smaug, who stole it from us, also robbed him of life or home. The treasure was not his, that his evil deeds should be amended with a share of it. The price of the goods and the assistance that we received of the Lakemen we will fairly pay, in due time. But nothing will we give, not even a loaf's worth, under threat of force. While an armed host lies before our doors, we will look on you as foes and thieves. It is in my mind to ask what share of their inheritance you would have paid to our kindred, had you found the hoard unguarded and us slain." "A just question," replied Bard. "But you are not dead, and we are not robbers. Moreover, the wealthy may have pity beyond right on the needy that befriended them when they were in want, and still by their claims remain unanswered. I will not parley, as I have said, with armed men at my gate, not at all with the people of the Elven King, whom I remember with small kindness. In this debate they have no place. Begone now, or our arrows fly, and if you would speak with me again, first dismiss this elvish host to the woods where it belongs, and then return, laying down your arms before you approach the threshold. The Elven King is my friend, and he has succored the people of the lake in their need, though they have no claim but friendship on him," answered Bar. "We will give you time to repent of your words, gather your wisdom, ere we return." Then he departed and went back to the camp. Ere many hours were past, the banner bearers returned, and trumpeters stood forth and blew a blast. "In the name of Esgaroth and the forest," one cried, "we speak to Thorin Thrain, son of Oakenshield, calling himself the king under the mountain, and we bid him to consider well the claims that have been urged, or be declared our foe. At the least he shall deliver 1/12 portion of the treasure unto Bard, as the dragon slayer, and as the heir of Girion. From that portion Bard will himself contribute to the aid of Esgaroth, but if Thorin would have the friendship and honor of the lands about, as his sires had of old, then he will also give somewhat of his own for the comfort of the men of the lake." Then Thorin seized a bow of horn and shot an arrow at the speaker. It smote into his shield and stuck there quivering. "Since such is your answer," he called in return, "I declare the mountain besieged. You shall not depart from it until you call on your side for a truce and a parley. We will bear no weapons against you, but we leave you to your gold. You may eat that, if you will." With that the messengers departed swiftly, and the dwarves were left to consider their case. So grim had Thorin become, that even if they had wished, the others would not have dared to find fault with him. But indeed most of them seemed to share his mind, except perhaps old Fat Bomber and Feely and Keely. Bilbo, of course, disapproved of the whole turn of affairs. He had by now had more than enough of the mountain, and being besieged inside it was not all to his taste. "The whole place stinks of dragon," he grumbled to himself, "and it makes me sick, and cram is beginning simply to stick in my throat." All right, there is chapter 15. So we are out of one mess and yet again into another mess. Go ahead into your reading logs, do your after reading questions, and we will get started with Chapter 16 real soon. See ya!